Hello, we are here. We are here. Every single, well, not every single one of us. Billy Bob underneath me has not arrived. Well, I think he's just coming into roll 20 now. Apparently he had to have a shower before he came into the game for some other reason. I just hope he has some kind of towel around him. At this oh, thank you, Chugwugger, that's what I was just about to do. Yeah, so hello and welcome. I just need to wait till he connects, and then once he's connected then I can disconnect and hopefully everybody be in the right place. Otherwise we'll have to go through changing everybody around again. Did you know, Chugawugga, you're still on Chugawugga?
I shouldn't be now because I changed it. It's because I crashed again. I'm back to.
Cool. Right. Anyway, let's. Well, we're just waiting for him to sort of like come into Zoom, and then we can start up. And then see, I've already pressed record, so we're now having the exploits of a running commentary on Big trying to find Zoom and start it up. His first priority should always be Zoom now, because anything else he can set up at a later date. I just know that as soon as he comes into Zoom, everybody's just going to move to it like that.
There's always one.
What?
Right. And he's extremely close to the camera.
I am.
Have you noticed that? He's just all like... That's good grief. Anyway, hello, and let me just get the adventure up. It won't take long. Hello, and welcome to this week's thrilling adventure. Welcome back, runners, to 2076. I think the actual year is, where where magic is possibly stronger than steel, and where spirits walk on astral planes to be confronted or even controlled by the master wizard Studley, and where that childhood dream of driving a car goes one step further because suddenly you are the car, and where working out is no comparison to metalling out, and where the internet has been replaced by the world of the Matrix, which filters into our very existence, and only deckers and technomancers completely control. Yes, you are, gentlemen, back in the world of Shadowrun. And welcome. And to start off with, as always, I'll give you the opportunity to say who you are and who you are playing. Off you go, Chugawugga.
Hello, I'm Chugawugga. I play Stanley Lovely, who goes by the name of Studley on the streets. He's a middle-aged, rather portly gentleman with receding hair and little round glasses that constantly seem to be falling off his nose. When he meets up with these other two, he provides magical support. He is a combat mage. Pretty new to the shadows and all the running business. And when he's not with these two, he's at home looking after his mom.
Cool. And by all means, pass it on to somebody else.
I'll pass it on to Big Beastie because he probably doesn't have his mic on.
Test.
Yeah, you do. Well done.
Hey! So I am Big Beastie and I'm playing Billy Bob. He is a big, bad, mean orc who likes to kill puppies and such. And he was also an ex-soldier for like 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And now he's making a living doing this running thing.
Do you have a winner winner chicken dinner t-shirt on?
I wish. I wish I did.
I wish as well.
Cool. And then finally, we have Longshanks EPG.
Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG, and tonight I'm playing Hector, the group's adept who channels all his internal magic into enhancing his own like physical abilities and strengths, and giving him sort of like what could be called superpowers, you know, sort of like combat sense, fast reflexes, and that sort of thing. And he's a big fan of all the old 20th century and 21st century Western films and crime action thriller films, and he wanders around the streets of Metro dressed as a cowboy.
Excellent. And yes, and I'm the game master, so I will be in charge of this motley crew for the rest of this these 3 hours to see what they will get up to in the third half of this adventure, or maybe fourth. And so, just to give you a quick synopsis of what's actually happened already. So the party have been hired by their employer, who goes under the name of Mr. Johnson, and he has hired the party to find the location of a rich family's daughter, who headed off into Eastside, which is where all the entertainment exists in Metro. Headed off there, and they went off into Eastside. And then the comlink lost communication and she hasn't returned. And so they've been hired to go and investigate and try to locate the actual daughter. They headed down the tube and had various exploits on the tube, including being propositioned by a well-known character who's in charge of a large amount of entertainment, both in East Side and South Side, a character called Casper, who offered them the incentive to become employers of himself, and in a way of goodwill, handed over them certified cred sticks of 5,000 credits each. The party then continued to a place of entertainment called the Sinner's Retreat, while they pretty much stuck out like sore thumbs. Billy Bob, due to lack of etiquette skills, Billy Bob had a very brief encounter with a dancing girl, and Hector had a rather long encounter with 3 alcoholic drinks, and Studley nipped into the ladies' bathroom in the form of a woman and nipped back out. Anyway, it was while they were doing this that Studley noticed that there was some kind of protective magic covering underneath the Sinner's Retreat. And it was also at this point that they, I think Studley noticed that there was a group of trolls taking out some men and women outside. The party quickly followed and found that they had been put into what can only be described as an armoured van, which promptly pulled off. Hector tried to scamper up the side and get up on the top, but due to his inebriated state, didn't quite make it, fell and took a nasty hit to his head. Studley tried desperately to stop the car by putting ice on the ground, but only succeeded in making the vehicle crash. Well, it dented its back left wing on a wall and sped off. Billy Bob did manage to get the arrow, which is the electronic tag, on the van and send that to Athena, who is their the party's matrix buddy, who works with them since they have no real access to the matrix in their current party. And then I think, if I'm right, I think you then headed back to Studley. You were rather drained of magic.
Yeah. Yeah, so Studley was both physically and mentally at his limit, but also he had been away for too long, so he had to head back to sort out his mother. So that's what he was doing whilst he waited.
And just out of interest, how long will that take you?
I think at the end of last adventure, for Studley to get rid of his stun damage was 5 hours.
Yeah, I meant to go and see your
probably after he's rested, probably about another 3 hours after that.
So that's going to be 8 hours, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So if we say that it's 4 o'clock in the morning, is that 3 hours to get there and 3 hours to get back?
No, that wasn't taking any time. That wasn't any travel time. It was 5 hours for his stun damage to.
Okay, yeah, got you.
To go, and then the rest of the time was to sort what he had to sort out with his mother. So. Oh
yeah, sorry. Are you actually travelling back to Southside, or are you just communicating her via?
No. He's travelling back.
Yeah. So 5 hours to get rid of your stun. And then how long would it take you to actually travel back and do your business, get your mother sorted as well? That's what I was trying to...
how far away, how long would the taxi take?
Well, it's going to take... you're probably better going by tube. That would probably be the most direct line, because that would go right the way past, round Northside, through Westside and back down to Southside. A taxi is going to take a huge amount of time, because remember, you can't actually go the south way because of the contaminated zone.
So however long the tube will take.
Okay, then. So that's going to take, say, a good 2 hours there and back. And then you're going to have to then get from the tube station to your mother's house. And how long to deal with her, do you think?
2 to 3 hours.
Well, so let's say 3 hours. So that would be so that's going to be roughly about 10 hours, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
10 hours in total. So I mean, once you finish this, sort of like need to sort of like find out what's happening with this girl, and that was at 4 o'clock in the morning. So 10 hours time is going to take you to, if my maths serves me right, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Okay, so you will actually get back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, Hector, I think, did you have some things that you were?
Hector just needed to sleep off his 3 alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
And then he was gonna gather his stuff back up, and then he was going to go and meet up with Billy Bob.
Yeah, and Billy Bob, what was your plan of action?
Billy Bob was going to wait for Athena to give him the location of the van, and then head out to that location and kind of stake it out.
Okay, then. So, and that's Hector. I presume that's the plan, that you will then go with Billy Bob and stake out this place, what, until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, yeah? Until Studley comes back?
Yeah, unless we see the girl being taken anywhere else, in which case we try and follow her.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Athena does get back in touch with you, and she has tried to locate the van, but hasn't been able to actually locate it. By the time she got surveillance drones there, it was a little bit hard to follow the arrow. But what she has done is that using the information, the arrow that you gave, Billy Bob, she's actually had an agent running through the matrix trying to find a location of it to see whether or not it pops up in any sort of like surveillance footage or anything like that. However, Billy Bob, you do get a comm call about just after 12 o'clock as you're sort of like relaxing in this motel that you have. Hector and Billy Bob, as you switch to augmented reality, sort of like have a look around, you do notice that you know, above the locked door there is a timer that is sort of like set for the amount that you have actually paid, you know, and so it's clicking down. You've actually got to midnight tonight with the room, and then it will actually automatically pay out the next lot unless you cancel it from whoever's comlink it was purchased from. And please do remember, after a wonderful video by Complex Action, remember that every time you go and use your fake sins for any reason, then I roll my dice pool, and then the threshold is your rating. So if you got a fake sin of 2, rating 2, then if I get 2 or more successes, then I figured out that your rating is false. Okay, so I think the maximum rating you can actually have is 6 at the moment. So that would be the best. So you can sort of like start to figure out. So it's a bit like walking into the pub and, you know, saying, trying to use a fake ID. Obviously, certain things have better security ratings than others. So something like a bar will have a rating of, say, 1 or 2, which means that I roll the number of dice pool to double that rating. So I will be rolling either 2 or 4 dice to try to get the number of thresholds. Obviously, if you're going into sort of like the local police station, then that has a rating of between 5 and 6, or 5 or 6 should I say. So in which case I will be rolling either 10 or 12 dice, and you can judge whether or not I'm going to be able to unpick. If somebody's got all I can hear is clicking. Somebody must be playing solitaire in the background, I figure.
My mic was off, so it's not me.
So anyway, Billy Bob, you have something else. You have something else to actually contend with, because about 12 o'clock, midday, while you're both waiting for something from Athena to come back, you actually get a call coming through your comm link. And, you know, your comm link is attached to your, I think you have cyber eyes, so it probably comes up on your heads-up display. And you can see that it's an incoming call from Handbrake.
Hello.
And she sort of like appears in your field of view, and rather than her normal pleasant face, she looks extremely angry and quite sort of like cross. And you notice that she's got bits of saliva sort of like running down her tusks, and she sort of like looks at you, and she sort of like says, "What the fragging hell is this?" And she goes, and you notice that up on your heads-up display comes a whole load of images of you dancing on the floor with the girl from the Sinner's Retreat.
Working.
She sort of says, "Fragging well looks like you're working, you dreck."
Oh, baby. Don't be bad.
Don't baby me.
I'm sorry, I'm working.
Yeah, it looks like you're fragging working with another woman in your arms, and a human woman at that.
You know I don't like them things.
Well, I tell you one thing, this is over. You have no more biz with me.
Oh.
Call yourself a chummer. I tell you what, the chip truth is here, you fragging hoop.
Oh, let's talk about this face to face.
She goes, and she cuts it off, and all you're left with is these images of this woman that you were dancing with and kissing the night before in the Sidders retreat.
Drock.
Okay, Hector and Billy Bob, is there anything else you would like to do leading up to the return of Studley at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Billy Bob's going to be sending like loads of messages, apologizing. But yeah, he's also going to be just try and keep an eye out, see if he can see if they're moving people around or just what's going on in that area.
Which area is this? Sorry.
Wherever we're staying to watch the club or the van.
All right, yeah. So the motels, you could probably see it reasonably well, but it seems to be quite dead during the daylight hours. You know, it probably sort of like closed about 7 o'clock in the morning, and you can see that the bouncers are no longer on the doors are shut, and it's been quite dead throughout the morning and into the afternoon. Hector, is there anything you would like to do?
Hector's going to try and follow up on the message that he sent to his godfather, who's Bruce Riggs in the law enforcement, about the mysterious powder that we found at the location. I can't remember her name; it's gone from my head. The girl's apartment in Southside. Sally's, thank you. Yeah, Sally's apartment in Southside.
Sorry, what was the message? Because I don't know.
Originally, he sent a message to his godfather, Bruce Riggs, who's a sergeant in the law enforcement of Southside, saying it's come up during work, but we've come across a lot of sort of like this powder, I think it was an orange powdery type stuff. Don't really know much about it. Is there sort of what's going on about it in Southside?
Okay, what's your connection with him?
It is 5.
Okay.
And it was a yellow powder.
A yellow powder, thank you.
Yeah, you get a message back. You get a message back from him saying that he really needs a little bit more to go on than yellow powder. He sort of like says it could be anything from a sugar sweet to disinfectant. He says he needs a little bit more to go on than yellow powder.
Okay.
Is Billy Bob hearing this conversation?
This is probably when you're trying to be nice to handbrake and calm her down.
That's right. So he's going to give a little bit more of the context. So it's sort of like it's at a party, lots of alcohol involved anyway. Guessing it's some sort of illegal, it's some sort of drug.
He asked whether or not you took a sample of it.
I can't remember if we did or not.
You didn't.
You didn't. Okay, no. We didn't then. And then he's also going to. Hector also wants to ask if there's sort of like any instances of people going missing out of certain clubs in East Side. If he's aware of any missing person reports after going out like for long nights out or something.
He says to you that he'll look into it. He does say straight away that there is a situation that is happening right now, that there is a girl who's going missing, has gone missing from quite a rich family in Northside. A girl called Sally Brown who's been missing, and he says that the family's been in touch with the police force, the law enforcers for quite a few times now, expecting something to be done about it. But they do worry that, you know, every hour that passes, the police are not sort of like, they don't know whether or not you know, her life will be, whether or not she'll be alive anymore as time passes.
Okay. Hector would also ask if it would be possible to share any of the notes or like call recordings that those parents have passed over to made to the police.
He reminds you that would technically be illegal, and he's not into being illegal.
That's
all.
So like in that case, he asks. Hector will ask Bruce to keep him sort of like apprised of as much as he can or feels able to for that particular case.
Okay, yeah, cool. Okay then, so with that all done and dusted, Studley comes back.
All right, so what have we managed to find out so far?
I got dumped.
You got dumped?
Girlfriend dumped me.
Oh dear. And why was that?
Dancing with Chicken Bar.
Was she there? Did you not see her?
No, she sent photos. How'd you get photos?
How did she get photos of you dancing in a titty bar?
Good question.
In a what bar?
Oh, gentleman's bar.
Good grief, Studley.
Can you send me one of the photos in question?
Okay, yeah, then Billy Bob's going to send the photos he got sent.
Yeah, you can send them straight. You have each other's comm link, so you can quite easily send them across. That's not a problem.
I should have done the.
Thank you.
It wasn't me.
Just out of interest, Study's just going to bring up the first one. What sort of like angle was it sent from? Was it taken by a security camera, or was it taken from on the floor? Or
it's quite almost like a far back zoomed in shot. It's not sort of like taken by her looking at Billy Bob. It's definitely sort of like taken from not a huge distance, but obviously something in the bar.
Right.
in the Sinner's Retreat, and sort of like pinpointing.
Hector will also pass on that he's been in contact with his godfather in the Southside law enforcement, and that the parents of Sally have now registered her missing with the police.
Ah, excellent. I'm glad that you asked that, Hector, because that does allow us to eliminate the fact that the parents were actually being blackmailed by somebody else to do with one of the cases that they might well have been working on, and that their daughter might have been kidnapped for them to maybe drop. So yes, good thinking.
My godfather did say that although he couldn't pass on too much details, that his unit were quite concerned that every moment that passes could mean the higher likelihood of her not returning whole or alive.
Studley, can you just roll your investigative journals skill, please?
Oh yes.
Just going back to these photos, does it look like I was singled out, or does it look like it was just just like a random picture, and I just happened to be there.
So, Studley, when you pass your critical eye from being an investigative journal over these photographs, just as Billy Bob suspects, you don't think the focus was actually on Billy Bob and this girl. It's almost like it could have been anybody on the dance floor. You know, you could even see Hector walking along with his 3 anuses at one point in the background. Just sort of like, well, there's more sort of like back. Just roll your computer and intuition. Just make sure it's checked onto intuition.
It's not a search, is it?
No. Yeah, and these seem to have come from a whole load of almost like social media sites. It's almost like, you know, those pictures that are put up, you know, when people are out enjoying themselves on the night. They've come from sites like that. And they've obviously been spread quite rapidly, and you figured that's how Handbrake has probably got her hands on them.
Yes, I'll explain all this to Billy Bob, and then I'll say, yes, if I was you, next time you're on the job, as I would say, Mr. Bob, I would probably do as Hector did and stick to anuses. So the big question is now, how far are we off from finding Sally?
So far, our only lead seems to have been the nightclub. Obviously, you know, she was, as you remember, she was. You said that she was bundled along with others, ladies and gentlemen, into a bus and then shipped off. So perhaps there's something else in the nightclub that might give us a hint, or we'll probably have to wait for Athena to come back with her tracking of the van.
Which may be never, because if she hasn't managed to pick it up straight away, I think it's very much like a missing person. If you don't find it within a certain amount of time, the chances of you actually locating it is going to be very slim.
It's interesting you
exactly.
say that, Studley, because just as you say that and utter those immortal words, Athena, you notice that Athena is trying to contact you on your comlink, and you sort of like see in front of your eyes, you know, that little ringing sign comes up with Athena's sign, where Athena's sort of like icon next to it, sort of like saying, you know, Athena contacting, Athena ringing.
So we'll answer the call, and Studley will say, Athena, yes, we were just discussing you and your talents of locating things.
Well, she sort of like you hear a voice over the comlink, and she sort of like says, "Yes, my talent is, shall we say, quite remarkable, or should I say that of my agents? Look at this, gentleman." And you get a photograph that comes up in your field of view, however you're connected to your comlinks, whether or not you have glasses on, I think in Studley's case, or lenses, or Billy Bob, I think you've got a heads-up display. You notice that there's a picture, and the picture appears to be, you figure it's got like a identifying mark on it that says Network 7. And it's obviously some kind of Network 7 drone that has been sort of like flying around, and it's featuring what appears to be a car crash on the road. And they're sort of like the law enforcers are on scene, and this drone is obviously broadcast this picture to the whole of Metro, you know, in some kind of report about this car crash on the road. And Athena says, "Do you see it, gentlemen?"
Have a look. Is there any cars in the background? Any vans in the background?
Well,
a parking lot? Anything like that? Something might be parked?
Yeah, you notice right the way in the background, in what appears to be like a workshop, a car workshop. you can see the van, and it's parked there, and and you can see that somebody is doing up the left rear wing of the car, and they're sort of like knocking it out and sort of like touching it back up. She says, "Oh, well done, Studley. Your eyes are as good as mine. Yeah, it seems to be a garage just on the edge of East Side and North Side. It seems to be in there for some kind of repair."
Yes, as it was escaping from the nightclub, I did manage to cause a slight accident to happen, which is probably what they are trying to fix now. How old are these pictures, or is it a current feed?
I'm surprised nobody found it, actually, she says. This was on the 10 o'clock news this morning.
Oh, yes. I was a bit busy earlier on, but 10 o'clock this morning, and it's now just gone 2. Can you give us the address of this workshop? Is that possible?
Yeah, you suddenly get into your onto your comlink heads-up display. You get the address of it. I don't think anybody of you will have Mapsoft on your comlinks for East Side.
I just have a standard Mapsoft.
So it'll specify that will be specifically for South Side, because that's where you actually live. So she sort of like pings it up, and she sort of like says, my Mapsoft have located it. And all of a sudden, in front of your eyes, you get that straight blue line that goes like that off. That that if you follow, you'll eventually get to the location.
Are you able to get a bird in the air to monitor the area just in case the van goes before we actually manage to get there?
Yeah, well, she says that's somewhat of a problem at the moment due to my distance away from you, and I don't really want to fly over Central.
Right, that's not a problem then. We will make our way. We will make our way there.
Billy Bob wants to ask her, is the van known as a party bus or a taxi or something?
She just sort of like says, "No idea. I just located it."
Okay.
The arrow seems legitimate. It has
did it have an? Did it come back to an owner?
It has a full surface. And unfortunately, that is hidden. Although you'll probably find that once you get to the bus, you'll probably be able to get inside and check it.
Oh. Okay, so thank you very much. I think we're going to be heading over there immediately, and Studley's going to end the call. He wants to leave the hotel. He's taking everything with him that he left there beforehand, and he's also going to log out of his bit, if you see what I mean, so that he's not going to get charged anymore.
Who actually paid for it?
We took money off. We just took money off.
I know everything was transferred, but it's probably somebody with the highest rating on their comlink is probably the best person to have actually done the transaction, and then you've shared it between yourselves. So, because see, this will be registered to your fake SIN.
Well, I don't have a fake SIN.
So it's on Hector's then.
Okay, and what rating is your fake SIN?
3.
Okay.
They're expensive.
I think that's the maximum we could have had. 3 is the maximum we can have because of our
character gen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That character gen.
Yeah.
Okay then. Cool.
But I think even then, how much was it? About 75,000 for
something like that.
For what? Sorry.
It was a lot.
For a rating 3 fake SIN, not a license, but an actual SIN.
Yeah. If you, I'll have an exact look for you. if you want an actual fake sin, it's rating times 2,500 credits.
Yeah.
And then a rating, a fake license is rating times 200 credits. So, and then the availability of it is rating times 3 forbidden, obviously. Yeah. So, yeah, cool. So, Hector and sort of like is the person whose this credit is actually on. He's the one who sort of like rented the room. And then you guys are sort of like passed the money between each other. Yeah, so you don't... Sorry. No, go for it.
I was just going to say, Hector, was going to do the same. He was going to take all his stuff as they go out, and then he was going to... The last thing he does before he leaves the room, he will log out of the... or cancel the recurring subscription for the room.
Yeah, so as you go past the door, you sort of like hold up your comm link, and it bleeps and acknowledges you as... What's it?
My fake sin is Hector on my fake sin.
Okay, so like registers you as Hector as your fake
Hector
sin.
Gomez.
And then and sort of like you notice as you go out that the door shuts, and then if any of you look in augmented reality, you can see that the room now comes up as locked but available by the lock. And
Studley get outside and sort of like look around and go, "Where's the car?"
Yeah.
Hector's going to respond and say, "Remember, we came by tube."
Yes, that was 8 hours ago. Have we not picked the car up?
Hector will look at Billy Bob and go, "I think he was a little bit preoccupied."
I'm not really in the condition to run to this body shop.
Where's your bike?
Well, I came by tube back, so that was going to be the fastest way. Plus, Jezebel isn't very economical on fuel, as you can imagine, because of the power that she has. Right. Taxi it is then.
So you step out into the street, and as you sort of like start walking, I take it to this location. You notice that the adverts sort of like start to creep in onto your heads-up display or onto your glasses, and you notice that there's various things being advertised throughout the stores and the nightclubs that you pass, from free men and women to free booze, etc., on various locations. And you notice also that, you know, the cars are moving down with their arrows over their heads, detailing their registration. And you also notice at various times that, you know, you can see people carrying various comm links, and you recognize that, Studley, you recognize that if you can actually see this comm link, it's not running silent. Well, you know, you notice a lot of people who are moving around that appear to have no comm links on them at all, and you recognize that they're sort of like running silently like yours are, you know, just to make sure that no hacker can actually get into your communication setup. Remember, all your electronic devices are on a personal network, so they're all within your comm link, and your comm link is protecting it with its so-called firewall. But yeah, well, any data processing, it doesn't have a huge amount to go with, because you don't actually have a decker around. You also notice as you walk around that you've turned things off from the arrows like house numbers, but you still got street names on, and that allows you to walk down and suddenly see the street names as you walk down. So you have a good indication. And of course, going out in front of you is always this blue line that Athena provided for you, that you're sort of like walking along, and you actually see one of those little cartoon men walking down the line as well, and there's a sort of like a timer up over his head that's giving you, it's sort of like your ETA to arrive at the point. and you sort of like start to make your way through Eastside, and it's getting a bit busy now. You notice that a lot of the clubs have outside seating areas where people are eating various proteins based food or this soya food out there, and of course you can see the menu sort of like flipping up in your peripheral vision as you look into AR, and you can see now why you get this -2 if you're looking at through AR, and some of you suddenly start to think, oh, I'll turn that off, and you turn off the augmented reality, so you're just walking normally, and every now and then you just click it on to sort of like see where the blue man is, to sort of like guide you to this garage. And
what sort of like time is it giving us to get there?
Yeah, well, it's giving you approximately 45 minutes from your current location.
Can we try to flag down a cab? Is there any cabs that are who's for hire?
Who's the cab company that operates in Metro? Operates right the way across Metro.
Bluefin. Or something like that, isn't it? Blue Dolphin or Bluefin or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Bluefin is the taxi company, and you can see them going around. And if you click into AR, you can see that they're actually the cars, but with a sort of like a shark over the top with a blue fin stuck out. And you can see Studley straight away that as you look at them, they're sort of like saying for hire or not for hire as they're driving along. So you can actually call for one either through your comm link or just by waving them down. Which one would you like to do?
Okay, so the first thing that Studley wants to do is just wants to get the actual address for where we're going.
Yes, you have that. You have that.
Right. Okay. So yeah, he'll flag one down.
Yeah, and you wait a while, and then you suddenly notice that there's one that is for hire. It hasn't got anybody in, and so it sort of like pulls up by the side of the road, and the back doors open, ready for you all to get in.
Okay, Studley will get into the front.
Hex will get in the back.
Billy Bob will get in the back.
Yeah, and the first...
And Studley will give the location of where they want to go.
Yeah, and it's customary in Bluefin to pass over your sin first. So they don't take any money from it, but you check in with your sin at the beginning of the journey, and in that way they're not going to, even if you suddenly decide to jump out somewhere, they can still take the money from your account. So
okay, so Studley will do that.
Are you using your sin then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay then. So is it a fake sin or is it a proper sin?
No, it's a proper sin. Okay
then. So is that what rate? Oh, so I don't need to check the rating on that. No. So yes. So you
Stanley Lovely.
Yeah, you sort of like check into Stanley Lovely, and then you say the address to the Bluefin driver, and he says, "Yeah, that's not a problem." And
I want to give it sort of like a block away. I don't want to give it going exactly up to the.
Yeah, so that's absolutely fine. So you give it like a block away and sort of like 10 minutes traveling in the Bluefin. And you notice that as you're doing it, if any of you switch to augmented reality, you notice that the little blue guy is no longer a guy. It's a little blue car that is traveling a little bit faster now. And you're about a block away, and you sort of like pull up, and you get charged. Directly from your bank, you get charged so like 6 credits, because it's 5 credits is the base amount, and then it's hardly been a journey at all, and by Bluefin, and he sort of like takes the money, and you see the advert pop up in your field of visions that says Bluefin swimmingly good. And then you sort of like swipe it away with either a flick of your eyes, or if you or it just sort of like slowly fades away as you walk away.
Okay, so getting out the cab, Studley wants to start heading off to. Oh, he's going to thank the taxi driver, of course, before he goes, and then he's going to start heading towards the garage where this van was last seen.
Yeah.
And then he wants to see whether or not he can just observe the place from over the road to begin with, see whether or not the van is actually still there.
Yeah, the van's not actually there anymore, but you can make a perception check. That's not a problem. Yeah, so you see sort of like people, there's several cars in this sort of like the forecourt that is being sort of like improved. It looks more, it doesn't look like a mechanical garage. It looks more like a body garage. It seems to be something that people come to sort of like have you know, paint jobs or spray jobs or something like that, or dints knocked out of their car. There's nothing like one of those things that lifts them up or anything like that. It seems to be sort of like, almost like, you know, cosmetic work that they're actually doing on these cars. There's about 3 in at the moment.
And what's the name of the garage?
It's called you could call it whatever you wish.
Right, okay. Any ideas?
The Hexes. Only the way I can think of is to try and find out from them somehow if they'd who it was who brought it in.
Okay, this is the way that we're going to play it. Mr. Bob, you're going to lead going into this. You are going to be a very angry person who has been told that the vehicle that smashed into your car was actually seen in this area being repaired, and we'll get the information that way, hopefully. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to play down the route of yes, your car was smashed into, and you need details so that you can notify the police, or if they're prepared to give you the details so that you can report it yourself. Unless, of course, anybody has any other ideas. I take this silence as a no. So, right.
So Billy Bob's gonna march over there.
Well, we can go with you.
Oh, okay. I guess we're all
Needs
going
be,
over.
or you can take Hector. How do you want to play it?
I don't mind, Billy Bob. It's up to you. I'm happy to come with you, or I can wait outside, or wait across the street.
Whatever. I don't mind.
Oh, I shall come with you. I shall be your accountant. No, I shall be your insurance broker in this scenario. And you can refer to me as Mr. Glum.
In that case, I will.
Mr. Glum.
I will stand outside and keep an eye out to see if it comes back, or if I see the van or anything suspicious outside. And if you need me, just holler.
Cool.
And then Hector's going to sort of like stand outside, pretending to admire the cars. Well, admiring the cars, but keeping an eye out at the same time.
Yeah, we just remember that it's not a sales room.
No, he's gonna look, and then if his question is, "Oh, this looks really nice," and then he's going to, it's like carry on walking down the street type thing.
Okay, cool.
And then just walk around the opposite side.
Excellent. Okay then. Yeah.
Do you want me to take the lead, Mr. Bob, or are you quite happy?
I could be angry.
Okay. Well, I'll take the lead, and then you can be Mr. Angry.
I'm so angry. Reminds me of Mr. Radio 1. Yeah. Okay then.
Okay, so Studley Studley and Billy Bob are going to go over to the actual workshop. Is there like a reception area?
Yeah, there seems to be a sort of like quite a big forecourt, and then there seems to be sort of like a back room where it seems to be a lot of resources are stored, and you know, like machinery and paint and etc. And then there seems to be a sort of like an office over to the left. That seems to be when payment is taken, and you can see that there's some kind of computer deck on the table, and some kind of comlink scanner or SIN scanner, you know, ready for that exchange of money, or even a certified cred stick to be put into it.
Okay, so Studley's going to go over to that area where the reception is.
Yeah, so there's 3 or 4 people working outside, and there seems to be quite a typical woman receptionist, sort of like in that reception area, and she's just sort of like sat there, you know, filing her nails and then touching them and making them change colour. She doesn't look all that interested in what's going on. Obviously, she only deals with the customers when they come to pick up their cars and or drop them off, and that's about it.
Okay, so Studley's going to go up, and he's going to try to change his voice just slightly. He's going to go, good afternoon.
Is this by magic or?
No, this is just me putting a bit of higher pitch on my voice.
Yeah.
He's going to go up and he goes, good afternoon.
She sort of like looks up from what she's doing. She goes, yes.
My name is Mr. Glum, and I am an insurance broker who is currently representing Mr. Gomez here. Interesting thing. Earlier, late last night, Mr. Gomez's car was actually hit by some type of van. He didn't unfortunately manage to get any details of it, although one of his neighbours did. The funny thing was that whilst Mr. Gomez was actually watching the news, he did actually see the exact van that his neighbour had described on your premises.
Oh, we only fix cars here. We only do paint jobs.
Yes, no. It had probably taken a serious knock to one side, maybe even broken an axle. I think that's the word, axle.
Hit the car.
Right. Sort of like mechanical damage, was it? Or
it could both be mechanical
damage
and cosmetic damage. Probably had a scrape down the side. It was in here earlier on. Is it possible for you to check your records? The thing is, it is being classed as a hit and run. And the people that actually hit my friend Mr. Gomez's car did not report it to the police.
Okay, make a con roll, and I will give you a +2 dice modifier.
We don't have any edge left, do we? Did it roll it twice then?
No, I was rolling something.
Right.
So.
Oh, no, that can't.
No, you haven't done it. Oh yes, you have. You had 3.
-1, 2, +2, -1. Critical glitch.
So did you roll 3 dice?
He's got a wound penalty?
Yeah, I'm wounded still.
Oh yeah, I thought you got healed up.
No,
I was both physical and mental. Me,
So
workhorse.
Yeah. So she says, well, we don't really do mechanical damage here. We sort of like only do like paint jobs.
Right, but I take it that you do keep records for all the vehicles that you do repairs on.
Oh yes, we have to keep records.
Right. Okay. I know.
Just to let you know, I critically glitched as well. It's like critical glitch heaven on this. Play your next card, Studley.
I thought I had brought him in with me, but obviously not.
Okay, so Billy Bob's gonna turn around and go, I want to know who hit me.
Sir, it was definitely not me. Definitely not me.
The van. Need to know the van.
Well, I don't really know how. I'm not too sure whether or not I'm responsible for anything like this.
Mr. Gomez, please just remember you're currently on probation. You don't want to have another GBH case against you. Not this soon.
Okay. Billy Bob, you can roll an intimidation roll. You can have +2 dice roll for being physically imposing.
Situation modifiers +2. Submit.
Well, you got 1 charisma. Why did you bring Billy Bob with you yesterday?
Believe you me, he was a better of the choice.
She looks quite. Oh, hang on, let me roll mine. She looks quite worried now, and she looks quite sort of like put off, and I don't think I could really sort of like let that information go, really.
Oh, well, it is a great pity. It is important that we get this insurance thing sorted out. We were willing to pay for the information, but if that's the case, then
she sort of like looks around and sort of like says, "How much?"
Well, how much would said information be worth?
Can I just remind you that you probably can't con her anymore, because you would normally have a -2 dice roll to that. So you would be rolling 3 dice, -1, which would take it to 2. You're 4. How many dice would you be rolling? 3. You would be rolling 1 dice. I would be impressed if you rolled a con roll with those few dice and actually got a success. I would be impressed with that bit.
Experiment.
She sort of like says, how much do you think I'm worth?
Well, I mean, if I had to put a figure on you, I would obviously say priceless.
Apart from your own.
But for Studley's going to give this figure to try to get a really good modifier on his con.
On this negotiation now.
Oh, right, on his negotiation.
Yeah.
So he would normally offer 100.
I think you can safely say, I'll tell you this information, for this low marketplace, you're probably getting a +1 dice modifier for each 100 you put in there.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at that. It's also sort of like high. So just let me have a quick word with Mr. Gomez. And you take Billy Bob to one side and you say, "How much do you think?"
Punch in the face.
Sorry, how much?
Billy Bob's gonna look at his cred sticking 1,000.
No, I don't think she's worth that much, Mr. Bob. We're going to go back up and we're going to say the information about the vehicle is probably worth 500 credits to us.
Okay, go for it. So it would be a negotiation roll with +5 to your dice pool. Hang on. Plus an extra 1 because you seem to be giving plausible evidence.
Plausible evidence. Wow.
He pulls 2 out.
She sort of like says, I'm sure I can let something slip. And she sort of like slides over. It's not the actual company's SIN scanner. You notice that she's taken it out of her pocket. It's actually her own comlink. So it's just like contactless. You type in how much you want to pay her, touch it to her comlink.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So so I'll use the I'll use the cred stick that
the certified one. Yeah.
Yeah, who do you call it, Gabe? Can't remember how much was on it.
That's got 5,000 on it. So
okay,
but that's a lump sum.
All right, you can't take it off separately. No. Okay,
you would have to give it to her, and then
in which case I'll just use my own.
Yeah,
I'm sure people will.
Yeah, and she goes on the deck, and then she says, well, you might find this useful, and she sort of like stands up and goes to look out the window at what's going on. And because you've tapped your comlink, the data can transfer straight up to you, Studley. And you notice that the armored truck is actually owned by Sinner's Retreat.
Does it? But is that all it gives?
Well, you have one more piece of information that I can give you. That's what I was about to say. You got 2 successes.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Don't suppose it has any information like where it was last done on its sat nav, does it?
It doesn't have its maps off downloaded onto it because obviously the garage wouldn't know that in any case. It does actually say where the accident took place, and it says that something bashed into it while it was parked down the side of Sinner's Retreat in what appears to be, it talks about an alleyway, and it says it was parked there as something rammed it from behind, and that's sort of like the explanation about what actually happened to it on the record.
Okay, so those are the 2 bits of information that we've got.
Yeah.
Studley's going to thank the young lady very much.
She sort of like turns around to you and says, "What for?"
And Billy Bob's going to turn around and said, "I was going to pay 1,000." And walk out.
Cool.
So Studley's going to meet up with the other 2 outside.
Yeah. So as you come out, you notice that they're still working. And as you sort of like move away, one of the guys says, glad to help you guys. Glad to help you. Come back anytime. You know, and if any of you in AR, you suddenly get a message coming up saying, you know, please come back. We can knock out any dint. As you sort of like walk off. And as you walk off, you notice that Hector comes round the corner. and you could sort of like pick him up. Again, not literally Billy Bob, and just sort of like walk off to wherever you would like to go.
Studley's going to inform the other two that the information cost 500 credits, so he does require 167 credits from each of them.
Hector will send over 170 because it's three for the taxi share as well.
Cool.
Yeah, Billy Bob is gonna do the 167.
I'm just looking at people. Don't worry, Studley. I'm just watching people's bank balances on my screen to see whether or not they actually do take it.
Don't mind.
I need.
Oh yes, Hector has.
Yeah, I'm doing it now. I've already done the taxi. The taxi went out ages ago. But...
Billy Bob's will go to a nice round number now.
So what is it, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon now?
Yes, roughly.
So I suppose if the van belonged to Sinner's Retreat, then that's the place to start next. Maybe we can explore that magic underground place that you talked about, Studley, last time when we were there last night.
Yes, I think the problem that we're going to have with that is that soon as you're probably aware, that there were magically active people on the premises, and soon as we step through that barrier, they will probably be alerted that we have. But why were the people actually taken away from Sinner's Retreat by a vehicle that owned Sinner's Retreat?
Owned by Sinner's Retreat.
Owned by Sinner's Retreat. I think we need to be looking at the bigger picture.
Could have been a party bus.
Billy Bob's gonna he's gonna turn around and say, "Do they own another club?"
I am unsure whether or not they do. Yes, bars and clubs are not one of my fortes, especially in the higher class areas. My personal opinion would be that were all of them sort of like young, good-looking, the people that were taken out from the...
They were all definitely young. They were sort of like teenagers or early 20s. Whether or not you would class them all as good-looking, that depends on your point of view.
I mean, could there be some type of slave trade going?
If you wanted to know whether or not who owned Sinner's Retreat and whether or not they owned any other clubs, you would have 2 lines of inquiry that you could take. Either one of you guys could do a matrix search, or Athena could do a matrix search, or of course you could contact Casper.
Right. So you're not bothered which then? Okay.
Well,
so we're gonna get a taxi, and we're gonna get it to head back towards Sinner's Retreat.
Okay.
And this time, Studley's going to sit in the back, and he's going to do a matrix search and see whether or not he can bring up any information at all concerning who owns Sinner Retreat, and whether or not, go onto their website, see whether or not there's other clubs linked to them, maybe two for one offer or whatever. If you buy a ticket at the Sinner's Retreat, you get one for one of their other clubs, stuff like that, just to see what he can narrow down.
So this will be your matrix search, and that'll be limited by your data processing of your comlink, won't it? Because you don't actually have a deck. You don't have a cyber deck,
which is a rating 3.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's come up my mental limit, but yeah, so I got 3 successes.
Yeah, because I am right in that, aren't I? That is a matrix search linked by your data processing.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what you're looking for, but yeah, I would say that it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your com link? Because did you say
it's a rating 3, so it has 3 on everything.
Okay, then.
It's a Renraku Sensei.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember now. Yeah, so that makes you have a firewall of 3 and a data processing of 3, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's right. I'm just clicking down to try to find it quickly, just so I know that I'm in the right area. After that is the bit that talks about everybody connected, isn't it? Yeah. Unless your comlink is good, both of these attributes are equal to your comlink rating. Yeah. So 3.
I don't know. I'll just check my comlink rating. I'm sure it is 3, but might as well do it now. Do comlink security. I can't find comlinks.
It's just that I think Hector's got one.
No, Hector's is higher than mine.
What is it? A Renaku?
Mine is a Renaku, yeah.
Yeah, so mine's device rating 3.
Yeah. So your yeah, I've got it. Yeah, availability 6. Yeah. So yeah, so you get three successes. Okay, so 3 pieces of information. So what order would you like them in? Because you gave me lots of questions beforehand. So just tell me what the answers that you want, and I'll
okay. Who owns Sinner's Retreat?
It's somebody who's registered on the Matrix as a certain CEO is Jeff Banks.
Okay. Other clubs that they have in the area?
No, he just owns the only one that's registered to him, because of course there could be illegal registrations all over the place. The only one that's registered to him is the Sinner's Retreat. Okay.
And any other companies that Jeff Banks owns?
No, he seems to be the CEO of Sinner's Retreat, and that's it. Although company records do show that they've been having quite a healthy quarter.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So did you say, sorry, that you're heading to Sinner's Retreat? Is that the general area that you're going to?
Yeah, so I reckon it's going to be, what time do these clubs normally open? Sort of like 10 o'clock,
yeah,
is
roughly,
it? That type of thing.
And they tend to be dead up to then.
Yeah, so I reckon probably about 8 o'clock that people are going to be arriving. So if we get there for 6, it might give us a couple of hours to snoop around before they get there.
Okay, that's absolutely cool. So you're sort of like heading off, and is this by Bluefin?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to use Bluefin again.
Yeah, okay. So who's actually registering that trip?
Hector will, but he'll use his real sin for that one.
His real sin. Okay, then, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, then. So you get the trip to to Sinner's Retreat, and yeah, it's sort of like it's quite sort of like locked up. It looks like you can see anybody who goes into AR mode. As you look at it, you see that the advert, you know, says that it opens at 10 o'clock, you know, and come here for a wild night. Exclaims.
So from over the road, Studley wants to switch into astral perception and see whether or not you can see any watchers or spirits keeping an eye on the place, or anything like that.
Make an astral perception roll. A sensing, sorry. Yeah, you look around and there seems to be no spirits or there's every now and again you notice that a slight magically active person walks down the street, but apart from that, you know, they're not a major mage like yourself, Studley, but there seems to be no watchers or spirits circling the building or anything like that. You do notice that going down one side there is an alleyway, and you can see that the armored van is actually parked in there, but it's parked as if it reversed in.
Okay. So, looking both ways, Studley's going to cross over the road, and he wants to be he wants to be heading down the alleyway.
Yeah, Hector will join him, and as he's going down, he will say to Studley, "Can you do your?" I mean, I'm assuming we're going to try and get inside, and I'm happy to. He's saying this over his sub-vocal mics, and I'm happy to try and break our way in. But my only question was, would you be able to do your magic-y thing and see if anyone was actually around inside or not?
Is Billy Bob going with them?
Oh yeah, Billy Bob. Yeah,
and I am assuming at this point that you don't have your helmet on.
No, he's still wearing his vest.
Yeah, but you haven't got your helmet on yet.
No helmet.
Yeah, where is the helmet?
It's in my day sack.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can see whether or not I would hate to do clairvoyance and find out that there's a barrier in just inside and break it, but
I mean, obviously, I don't know about that sort of thing, but as I said, I'm more than happy to try and bypass the alarm and pick the lock in the door.
I think the first thing we do is to actually to check out the alleyway and see whether or not there maybe there's a separate entrance for, like, when they have deliveries of alcohol that might go directly underneath the building into the stores.
Seems like a good idea.
Okay, so you head down the alleyway, down the side of the bus, and Billy Bob, can you just make an auto mechanic roll for me, please? Just as you sneak down. The rest of you, as you go down, you notice that there is a side door. You remember. Hector and Studley, just make a memory roll for me, please.
Auto mechanic.
You don't have all that many skills, Big. Studley got 3 successes.
So it's just...
It is. It's on your engineering skills. You have it at 1.
Automotive mech. Oh no, yeah, at the top.
No, that's not the top ones.
You only have 2. You have 2 skills in engineering. One's
armor. It was showing all of them. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I just clicked it to hide and used.
Situation modifiers. 2 successes.
Okay, yeah, Billy Bob, you think they've done quite a nice job on this this van. You know, you could hardly see the where it was bashed, and you sort of like think, you know, this place that you've been is probably a really good place to take Rosie Lee when you were, you know, if you had her to sort of like go and get some fixing up done. Studley and Hector, when you're going down, you notice that there's a door down the side, and from your memory and from the layout, you figure that this is must be a door that sort of like goes in behind the bar, and it's obviously a place where things are sort of like delivered, drink stuff, etc. You also do notice that further down the alleyway, quite near the back, there's actually what appears to be like a door on an angle like that. That's sort of like going, it definitely looks like it goes down rather than into the building.
So is that just a ramp?
Well, it could be a ramp underneath it, but it's definitely sort of like a double door, like a set of cellar doors or something like that.
Hector will wander over to the cellar doors and the ones that were on the angle, and he wants to sort of like examine the lock and the ground sort of like around it.
Yeah, well, the first thing that you all notice, sort of like clicking into AR mode, is that the original door, you can see that the lock was quite apparent on. This actually has a lock on it, but it's actually running silent. It's not actually transmitting its location, which automatically means that people do not want you to find it.
Billy Bob wants to see if the van's open, so he's going to go up and he's going to see if it's unlocked.
Yeah, cool. Studley and Hector, what would you like to do?
Studley wants to hope that there's no tamper alarm on the van, and he's going to go and listen at the doors down into the what we presumed is a cellar.
Yeah, it does have a lock on there as well. Yeah, Hector, what would you like to do?
Hector wants to sort of like have a look at the lock to see if he can work out what sort of lock it is, and if he'll be able to pick it.
Yeah,
roughly how quickly he could pick it.
I'm assuming you've got your lock picking tools with you.
Yep. Should do. And he had everything that he had earlier on, so all his normal run stuff.
Whereabouts do you carry them? Is it in?
In this one, it's it's inside pocket of his lined coat. Okay. That's where he normally keeps it.
Yeah, Billy Bob, you go up to the door of the van, and you sort of like hold on to it, and you hear sort of like this bloop as it tries to recognise your fingerprint, but it doesn't open. It keeps well and truly firmly shut. You do think, Billy Bob, that's quite an impressive lock for a van.
Okay. Seeing that's locked, he's going to be looking around, seeing if there's any cameras or anything.
Okay.
Looking down the alleyway or anything.
Yeah. Both Studley and Billy Bob, you can roll your perception.
Three successes.
Yeah, okay then. So you're busy. There doesn't seem to be any cameras down the alleyway, and Studley, you can't hear anything inside the actual beyond the.
He'll turn to Hector and he'll go, "It's all clear."
Good.
So I'm just trying to find me lock picking sheets.
That's all right.
Oh, I've got them.
How to pick a mag lock.
Yeah.
Flowchart.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hector first, before he started picking it, he wanted to have a look at it to see what sort of lock it is, and
yeah, it's a simple keypad lock.
Okay. Well, in that case, Hector wants to try and get the casing off and take off any tamper alarm or emergency alarms off first.
Yeah, well,
security trip alarms.
Casing goes first, so that's locksmith plus agility, and it's an extended test.
Where has it gone? Where's my skill gone? So it's 9 dice. Extended test. 9 dice. Minimum number of dice. Number of successes. Leave that blank. There you go. Where was my critical glitch? Oh, it was the last one. Okay.
Yeah, so you sort of like sit down and you get your lock picking set out, and within about 5 seconds you've got the actual casing off. It comes off quite easily, almost like too easily.
Yep. He then wanted to try and deactivate any triple alarms or security alarms or anything like that he could see on the device.
This is a locksmith plus agility.
Just a normal locksmith plus agility rock. Okay. Four successes.
Yeah, there seems to be some weird wires in there that you've not seen before. And you sort of like think, oh, that's a bit strange, and you sort of like disconnect them, and nothing seems to go off or anything like that. So you're quite happy about that.
Okay, and then he wants to proceed to unpick, to open the door or open the lock.
So this is exactly the same again: locksmith plus agility, extended test.
Extended test.
Yeah.
Extended test. 9.
Yeah, so you spend quite a bit of time, and Studley and Billy Bob, you're sort of like thinking, good grief, what's he doing here? And all of a sudden you sort of like hear the click, and the keypad accepts the code, and it opens, and there's a click, and the 2 sets of doors now can be pulled open.
Okay. Hector, as soon as he hears the clicking, goes, finally. That was a bit of a bugger, that one. And then he wants to try and put the casing back onto the lock, and then he'll open the door.
Okay, yeah. So just roll your locksmith and agility to put it back on.
Two.
Does the can Studley make a call to Athena whilst this is going on?
Yes, by all means.
So he's going to connect up to her, and he's going to go, Athena, Studley here. We're currently at the Sinner's Retreat. Does it have host access? Do you know? Is it something that you can find out?
She's quiet for a while, and then she says, yes. It seems to have its own host. Very unusual.
Yes. Is it possible for you to maybe get into their system?
She says,
we're just about to check out the establishment.
She says, I can try.
Don't take any risks, of course. We don't want them to be alerted that we're here.
Ooh. She says, do you want me to try or not?
Yes, please. Mr. Bob, do you want to keep maybe an eye on the entrance to the...
I'm doing.
Okay, are you opening these cellar doors?
Yeah, as soon as it's gone click and he's put the case back on, he'll open up the cellar doors.
Okay, so these cellar doors, sort of like, do you want to open both of them or one of them or what? Because it's sort of like,
he'll just open. He'll open one of them, and if he can get down, then he'll get down. If not, then he'll open both.
yeah, so you sort of like open one side, and you look inside, and there's about a half a meter of a ladder, okay, and then a 2.5 meter drop down to the ground. The ladder looks like it's been sawn off, so it looks like that this isn't a way that's accessed a lot of the time. It seems to be almost like locked from the outside rather than from the inside. And there's definitely, the ladder's definitely been, it hasn't rotted away. It's a metallic ladder, and there's only about half a meter left of it. And then there's a 2.5 meter drop down to the floor.
Okay.
Looking down there, is there anything on the floor?
It just...
Is there like
yeah, so your low light vision sort of like kicks in, and from the outside lamp, it seems to be metallic down there rather than wooden or anything like that.
Okay. But there's not like a cushion or anything down there that they might push
No,
barrels or anything on?
most definitely not.
Hector, after he's opened the door, he's going to look around for something that he could use, like a bit of masonry, a roof tile, or something that he can use to wedge the door open, but only slightly. So it's enough that we can open it from the inside, but not enough that
it actually sort of like clicks right the way back open.
Yeah, no. The idea was that sort of like we go down, but we pull the door shut, so it's not obvious from the outside necessarily to a straight glance that we've broken in. So he wants to kind of like wedge it open with something if possible.
Right, okay, then so make a perception roll.
Perception. 3.
Yeah, you could probably find something that you can shut the door on yourself, but hopefully get something in there that sort of like keeps it open. That's not a problem.
Yeah, so he'll get that ready and say, in case we decide to close the door when we go down, so it's not visible from the outside or any employees if we're too long down there, that it looks like somebody's broken in, and we can use this. And he holds up like a piece of broken like roof tile or something, so we can wedge this.
It's metal. It's metal. Yeah.
Oh, it's metal.
It would have to be, yeah.
Yeah, and he holds up this. It's like a bit of metal that's come off from somewhere. And just like we can use this to wedge the door open, so we can get out again.
Okay, so right, right.
So Billy Bob's going to jump down first, then, and probably if it's too high for the others, he'd catch him at the bottom.
Okay, then. So you're going to jump down the 2.5 meters, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then. So you sort of like lower yourself off the ladder and sort of like drop the last sort of like bit, and you sort of like land, and you hear this sort of like clunk on the actual metal part.
Hector will go down last, and then he'll wedge the door open when he goes down.
As Billy Bob's landed, he's going to take a quick look around, make sure there's no one down there, and say all clear.
Yeah, there's definitely nobody in the area where you are. Studley, are you going down as well or not?
When Hector was opening all this, and when he looked that it hadn't actually been opened from this side all that much, did you communicate that to us?
Yeah, everybody's aware of that.
Yeah, he would have said that. He would have explained, if anyone was listening, he would have explained why he took so long, and that was one of the reasons why it took so long with the lock.
Right. Okay, so yeah, well, I mean, if Studley's in the middle, he's going to carefully lower himself down, sort of like dangling from the bottom rung of the ladder, sort of like just leaving himself hanging there for a bit as he plucks up courage, and then he's just going to let go to drop the.
Yeah, and Billy Bob can catch
the rest of the rest of the way.
Billy Bob can catch you. Sorry, just to let you know, the lock looked quite new. The actual doorway doesn't look new.
Yeah.
So right. So and then I presume Hector's going down last.
Yeah,
Therefore.
Hector will go down last, but he'll pause on the ladder to pull the door shut and then use the piece of metal that he found to wedge it open so that the door's only open to like the width of the piece of metal he found.
Cool.
And then he'll climb down the rest of the ladder and like drop as lightly and as quietly as he can onto the floor.
If we were going for stealth, it's a bit late with me going down.
Yeah, so hang on, I'm just putting Billy Bob's character in. Take that off.
Billy Bob's going to turn around and look at the ladder, look at everyone else, and look down at his feet. Go, how are we all getting out?
And with that wonderful thought, we will take a quick 10-minute break before we come back and I tell you what's actually down here.